All right, hey people, Russ Jensen. So it's 6:30 on the 13th day of January 2017. That's going to be the last one I make today. But and I'll come back tomorrow and talk more about these rights remaining for the state of primitive communion, which cannot be denied. The right of necessity, these rights of individuals. But I wanted to follow up with the last one I made. I was talking about the fact that your governmental authorities right now don't have proper constitutional authority. And I think it's important for me to tell people where it is that I'm getting the permission, the authority to use words like criminal against my governmental authorities. Okay? I don't uh, say that in a disparaging manner. I say it as a statement of fact, and also say it as a statement of fundamental constitutional law that states specifically using that language that that's what they are when they operate in the manners that they're operating right now and have done for the last 50 some odd years since the 30s. Actually, it was going on before then, but that's really where the primary break came. Introduction of the Buck Act, too, which also another one's not put in the Federal Register. Okay, your banking acts aren't there either because they apply to a specific people. But anyways, um, our book, Law of Nations, our law, our uh, jurisdiction, our authority that we can rely on because it's fundamental law, it's laws of nature. Uh, Book 1, Section 46 talks about very specifically about what happens when the sovereign power is limited and regulated by fundamental laws, constitutions, and fundamental laws. And those laws show the sovereigns, the sovereignty, the government, the extent and the bounds of their power and the manner in which they are to exert it. Now, isn't that what we've decided is a constitution? Tells the government how they are to be organized, how they are to operate, how they are to express and exert the power that we have delegated to them and the limits of it. Okay? So in 46, later on, it talks about the Constitution, the fundamental laws are the plan on which the nation has resolved to labor for the attainment of happiness. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That's why that's in that Declaration of Independence. Came from this book right here. The execution of that plan then is entrusted to the sovereigns. They don't get to change the plan. They don't get to work outside the plan. They don't get to do anything to you or me or the society that's not contained within the specific words of the plan. They can't add words to the plan that aren't there. Okay? Goes on to say that let the sovereignty consider the fundamental laws as inviolable and sacred rules. And remember that the moment they or he deviates from them, their commands become unjust and are but a criminal abuse of the powers with which they are entrusted. Okay? That's why I claim that they're a criminal organization, because they're doing a criminal abuse of the power which they have been entrusted. Operating outside those limits, lying to you about that, lying to you about what they can and can't do, telling you that their interpretation, the simple plain meaning of the words doesn't mean what it says. Well, it does in some cases, but it doesn't in some other cases, just where it happens to be beneficial, whatever the political flavor of the day happens to be. But you, Mr. Subject Citizen, now, a employee, agent, officer, custodian that we've made you into, we can tell you that what we're doing is one of our instrumentalities, using our numbers, our paper. You are going to obey every single thing that we demand of you, without question, without opportunity to cure. We're going to punish you, but we can do whatever we want. You voted for us. No. Now, further on, we talk about here, 47 talks about they may not change the laws fundamental, except through proper procedure. Article 5. Section 51 talks about how the nation may curb a tyrant, withdraw from his obedience. Not what they were doing when they enacted began this issue with the King of England. Hmm? Now, I'm not suggesting that we go into open rebellion or anything like that. I'm suggesting you start getting yourself educated about these things. Read this book. Huh? Because at section 51, it talks about if the authority of the prince is limited and regulated by the fundamental laws, again, on exceeding the bounds prescribed them, they command without any right and even without a just title. The nation is not obliged to obey them, but may resist their unjust attempts. As soon as a prince attacks the constitution of the state, he breaks the contracts which bound the people to him. The people become free by the act of the sovereign. Can no longer view him but as a usurper who would load them with oppression. A usurper, a criminal. Okay? Section 30 talks about the same thing. Support of the Constitution, obedience to the laws. The Constitution and the laws of the state are the basis of the public tranquility. The firmest support of political authority and a security for the liberty of the citizens. But this Constitution is a vain phantom, and the best laws are useless if they be not religiously observed. The nation, me and you, the people, ought then to watch very attentively in order to render them equally respected by those who govern. Don't we have a duty to that? We do. We have failed in our duty, people. We have. Okay? It doesn't mean that we can't pick up our duty, fulfill that obligation by forcing those who govern to respect, abide by, observe, live by the fundamental rule of law. Constitution for the United States of America, Constitution of the United States, which they aren't doing. To attack the Constitution of the state and to violate its laws, gold and silver, nothing but gold and silver may be made to be a payment of debt. They're not, that's a violation of that law. A lot of other ones too. It is a capital crime against society. Crime, capital crime. Those are big crimes. Those are not little misdemeanors, not little infractions. Okay, they are engaging in capital crimes against society, capital crimes against you and I. So I say I use that word, criminal organization. Now, is everybody in government a criminal? No, they're associates of, accomplices by their failure to understand. Rule of law applies to everybody, people, and that Constitution, especially for those people back in Washington, D.C., supposed seat of the government, they have the original document, so they claim, right there on display. These highly intelligent, highly successful men and women can't read, can't comprehend, and yet they force you to try to wade through, and that's a simple 2-page document, wade through 10,000 pages. No, it's absolute, it's insanity what we have allowed to take place. But it's our failure, people, our failure of our known duties to do what? Make sure that the people in government, those who have gotten some of our consent to govern us by a specific set of rules, obey those rules themselves. It's not hard, people, okay? I'm sorry if those words make it a little bit difficult for a particular group to get their agenda through. That's the purpose. Those men had just gone through a horrible economic situation based on the same thing, a fractional reserve, paper currency. Okay? There's a reason why they didn't put that in there. They don't have permission to remove gold and silver coin, period. Not violation, removes all lawful authority from them. Simple. Now, does that mean we get to run around and violate? No. It does not. It means we better get busy and get these people back on track by asserting our lawful sovereign authority and commanding those who sit in the seats of government, servants, to do what's proper, what is lawful, what is correct, and allowing their individuals in legislative bodies, judicial branches to not obey, not operate by the rule of law, the strict rule of law. No. Clarence Thomas, I'm sure everybody's familiar with who he is, Supreme Court Justice, a few years back, his confirmation hearing, all that to do about a woman, all that nonsense. But who really was looking at where he came from, what his background was, who he really was associating with, who he worked for? Monsanto. He's also the guy that wrote the Supreme Court opinion holding that gave Monsanto authority to patent life. Gee. Conflict of interest, anybody? But they went through that big charade. They got everybody so terrorized, okay? They don't have permission to do those kinds of things. They're not operating under constitutional authority at any level. Have not done so for a long time. And them pretending that the state of emergency, executive orders, all that stuff. So, like I said, don't get a run around, violate. Don't tell people to violate any of your known duties, of anything you believe that you should be doing. Okay? I'm also trying to get people to understand that you need to understand better who and what you are, and you need to understand that the people that are supposed to be in charge have violated their known duties. Egregiously, intentionally, maliciously, with willfulness. So, Law of Nations gives us the authority. Law of Nations gives me the authority to make those statements because I don't have to take these people to trial to prove the fact that they have made something besides gold and silver in payment of debt. So that's what this is about. Reading, understanding, start taking a real interest in your governance. It matters. It matters for your children, for your grandchildren. Right? These people have these horrible diseases which have been brought upon us by the agricultural policies, the legislative policies, the monetary policies, the industrial policies of this small group that has taken over control the governance on the entire planet without permission, without authority. Said, don't believe in protesting, writing letters, going over like some of these groups do, Black Lives Matter, and interrupting somebody in a private setting. That might have been considered to be a public meeting, but Bernie Sanders was there. They were doing their thing. Those people didn't have any permission, didn't have any right to walk in there, stand up on that stage, and take over. I'm sorry that you didn't feel like your cause was being heard. And yeah, that was a great way, I guess, to get heard, but that was damaging. That was destructive. We don't believe in that. We believe in the rule of law. There's a process that's going to be gone through to bring back the rule of law. Part of that going to be trials for treason if need be. Give these people an opportunity to cure, which we have to do. They don't give that to us. They don't give us a chance to fix things and mistakes that we made. But we're going to do that for them because that's what we have to do. That's the proper thing. So, like I said, I don't intend to be misleading. And if I am in any kind of way, I'm asking people to please correct me. Verify what I'm saying with real facts, real documents, real law. Read this book, Law of Nations, read your Constitution, stop and think about what is going on and see if the reality that you live in matches up with the reality that you've been told that you live in and the reality that these documents should have and should be creating for you right now. And then we'll talk about some simple ways that we can go about regaining control of that. Okay? I don't know if modern society can go back to just using gold and silver coin as payment of debt. I don't know that. Probably not feasible. Doesn't change the fact that that has got to be done through the proper process in order to maintain the integrity of that document known as the Constitution for the United States of America and the United States. Has to happen. Okay? This isn't about whether it's a good system or a bad system. It's about the fact that those men and women violated constitutional law. They attacked the Constitution not only of the state, but of the entire union of states. And then forced the sovereignty, the sovereigns in those independent republics, those union states federated together, to violate that. Through force, through violence, through deception. So it's up to us, people, to bring that back. We have to do that. And that starts with, number one, getting yourself properly educated. And then engaging in some simple conversations. Starting with asking the question, is that Constitution even still a valid piece of paper? So I'm going to leave it off there. I'm going to attach this, a couple of these things I've taken out of the Law of Nations to show you where I can get some stuff from. But get that book and read it. It's online. You order it through Amazon. It's on Kindle. It's all over the place. It is constitutional law. But it's constitutional law that you, as one of the people, can access. It's also the instruction manual for how to use your Constitution, how to interact properly with the sovereigns. Okay? But like I said, you're not a sovereign. You're not the sovereignty. Okay? You're not a sovereign citizen, free man in the land, or anything else. You are a de jure citizen, one of the republics, one of the union states of that federation, standing in the dirt, and you are the sovereign's authority that they must get from you by consent in order to govern. Okay? It's that simple, people. So I'll talk to everybody tomorrow. Have a good night, and love you guys, and see you then.